Hello and welcome to this special presentation on the 11 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's continuous governance. I'm being joined by Union Minister of Petroleum, Mr. Hardeep Puri. But it's not about his ministry. It is the other work that he has, a very important task that he has been assigned. And one of the topics that we are speaking today, sir, is about India's entire change of perception as far as help, repatriation and rescue of our, fellow countrymen are concerned across the globe. One such operation which you were a special envoy was Operation Ganga in 2022. It was more or less a race against time. We'd appreciate, and our viewers would appreciate, if you could give us some insights about, what went on in that operation. It was a massive exercise by the government of India.
No, I'd be happy to do that, and thank you for having me on your show. Before I attempt to give you insights, I want to do a little bit of context setting.
Please.
You see, you have a large population of Indian origin people overseas. Various estimates put 25 million. I don't know. There are a lot of people of Indian origin holding foreign passports. But in this particular case, I think what we should see is that we have a very young demographic. We have a demographic advantage. We have a young population. And these are our children who are on the lookout for quality education.
Yes.
Some of them find it difficult to seek admission here. They go abroad. Their parents spend a lot of money. Operation Ganga should be seen in the context of a prime minister being the only leader in the world who responded to the challenge on a real-time basis. I think in terms of time context, it is February of 2022. Large-scale hostilities broke out between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. Those affected a large number of Indian students who were studying in medical schools, mostly in the Ukraine. They were there in other countries too. But in the Ukraine, if I remember correctly, there were 28,000 students. Now, if you look at the geography of the area, and if people have to make an exit from a war zone, there are a number of countries from which they can go to exit. I was sent to Hungary in other words, to facilitate the exit of Indian students who were coming in from the Ukraine through a land border to Hungary. There were two border points. Others went to Romania, they went to other places. Well, the insights that we are talking about now since it's more than 3 years and a few months, now some of it is in the public domain, but not all of it. The fact of the matter is that when you have to extricate people out of a skirmish or a war zone with no one being able to tell you when the firing will happen, and the students have been seeking shelter in bunkers in their respective cities all over the place. So there is a job of getting them to one place, arranging the logistics. But more than that, the logistics, etc., you can go and seek professional help from bus operators and so on. But there's something more. Somebody has to step in and speak to the political leaderships of those two countries. This the Prime Minister was able to do. I know of at least 2 cases where cessation of hostilities was brought about specifically at the instance of the Prime Minister so as to give us time for those convoys to move. You had to move people out. You succeeded. Our airline stepped in. A lot of our students had pets with them. Some of them didn't even want to leave the pets behind. I argued with some of them in Hungary. I said, if you bring pets who are used to cold polar climates, how will they survive? But, there's no arguing. I had to call the head of 2 of the airlines and say, "Bhai, aane do." Then we had to make arrangements here. So all in all, it was a big effort. But the fact is that we got them all out, and we're the only country that did that. And in the process, of course, we were receiving requests from students who were nationals of other countries. I think we pulled out some people, some students who were citizens of our neighboring countries, even American citizens, because no one else in the world did it. And that is, I think, what distinguishes our Prime Minister from most other leaders in terms of his caring. Anyway, if a war breaks out and some people get caught in the crossfire, you can always say, this is a war-like situation, what do we do? But it was not that. There was a war, We stepped in. I mean, the fact that you send 4 or 5 ministers to different countries, one went to Poland, one went to Romania, I went to Hungary, and 2 others went to other countries. And we coordinated the exit. Then we arranged for the airlines to come and take them so that they didn't have to. Well, some interesting stories. Some of the students who came out, they were so well looked after, making arrangements. They said कि आप ऐसे करिए, हमें 2 दिन बाद की फ्लाइट पे भिजवा दीजिए, मीनवाइल ज़रा बुडापेस्ट को देख लें. हमने कहा जी नहीं, ऐसे नहीं होता. आपने देख लिया बुडापेस्ट को, अभी आप you should be headed back.
Let me also ask you, because you did elaborate how the Prime Minister was himself involved. Does a leader who has a political or a personal capital with world leaders, does it help in such situations?
Of course it helps.
And how does it help?
It helps because the call is taken, and the call is taken seriously. I mean, there were nationals of other countries also stranded there. I don't know what happened, but nobody took the trouble. So first is absolute care for your own citizen, especially young people who are stranded. Then putting things together. I remember I was in somewhere in the northeast. I was late at night. Luckily, I was still awake. I got a call saying that the Prime Minister will speak to you, and he said कि मैं आपको भेज रहा हूँ, etc. No questions asked. Next day I was there. All of us arrived back from wherever we were, and there was a briefing. And immediately after that, the rest is history. And I know that he made calls to Presidents Zelensky and Putin to get those 2 instances where I am aware of the ceasefire.
A lot of people would say that, caring for your own countrymen, and there have been other operations in the past which previous governments would have done. Why is this special? What does it make unique? That
first
the operations
of all,
which have been done by the government?
whenever we are having a discussion like this, I, for one, I would be hesitant, I would be reluctant to undermine any other relief operation, because that's not, I'm not familiar with it, and each attempt to evacuate people, whether it's from the Gulf, it is important for its own sake.
Absolutely.
But what I can do is to talk about Operation Ganga and tell you, if you look at relief missions or evacuation mission, by any standards of global assessment, this would rank as one of the very well executed missions.
I remember one quote, one tweet by late former Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, who had once said that if you're an Indian, even if you're stuck on Mars, the Indian embassy there would also come.
No, that's very.
Does that underline the foreign policy under Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Yes, absolutely. It does. I'm not suggesting that governments under other prime ministers have not been sensitive. They have been, but especially so in Prime Minister Modi's time. He has given a very important prioritization to the Indian origin people there, the diaspora. He has addressed large gatherings. He has individually reached out, and I think in his foreign policy overall canvas, you can take people out of India. You don't take the Indian out of the person. You may hold another country's passport, but I think they relate to your culture. We're a 7,000-year-old civilization. We've been, it's only 1% of that time as an independent country. But we have a long way to go. We've reclaimed our civilizational heritage and value system, which we had regrettably, we tended to lose in between. But the most important thing is when people, Sushma ji's put it very well, I don't know. When I was Housing Urban Affairs Minister, people used to ask me, when we did the Chandrayaan landing, when are you South Pole pe colony hai kab kaat rahe ho? So it's a nice way of putting it. But wherever Indians have been in distress, I think the government has reached out, and it's also exemplified by what's happened subsequently. The legislative amendments that we made, we brought back people. I remember troubles took place in Afghanistan. I brought and the Gurdwaras came under attack. I had the deep privilege of carrying the Soropas and being able to contribute in a small way. So Article 370, I mean, all this is part of our history. And Ganga only stands out, Operation Ganga, as one of those important strands in between.
Minister, thank you so much
for
your time.
Thank you.